I'm so happy to hear that Sterling Ink is releasing a new 5-year diary this week. It'll be in a hardcover in charcoal or oat. However, I won't be buying one. I started this 5-year this year. I love it. I have a very simple system where I just record one funny thing my kids say every day. I use the same pen, the same ink, but they're things that make me happy. I thought I'd go through it, and we don't have all the details about what Sterling Ink's new planner will be like, except that it will take this form factor of the hardcover with an elastic closure. There'll be the option to have the clear cover that has a pen loop. There's a gusseted pocket in here. And that's so nice to keep things like birthday cards. I was just looking at them for my kids this week and thinking about how to keep that for this year. And then it will have different paper. It'll have Cosmo Airlight. This is Tomoe River paper, as is the original 5-year diary, which is really light and great for fountain pens. But the new one will have the same paper that they've introduced with inserts in the core planner this year. So I have the inserts. I've been using it, and it's really nice to write on. I feel like it actually transforms some of my pens, but it does have a long dry time. So I'm not really sure because of the way I use this, and I'll explain. One of the reasons I wanted to use this B6 was for simple quotes is I have this Montblanc 146, the Meisterstück 146. It's a very broad stub nib, and this is I purchased on the pre-owned market. It's a piston fill. I use permanent ink because I'm interested in having this last as long as anyone wants to read it, and so here we can see they're really simple entries. I've written in certificate, which is how my daughter was saying certificate. So I really have mostly just stuck to 1 line a day. And I don't at the moment need to identify which kid it is because it's self-evident. So this size has been really nice for just having enough space for a quote. They do provide with all purchases. It's so cute. I mean, their packaging, I am that person who keeps the packaging, and it comes in this box, the 5-year diary special. And I don't think it came with a planner card. I think anything that's undated doesn't have a planner card. I actually purchased this. I looked back on my receipt, and I had ordered on the 22nd of December, and there happened to be a holiday sale last year. This was not a new product last year, so I'm not really sure that they would have that on something like this that may well sell out. It's going to launch Friday at the time of filming this. It's Wednesday. However, 22nd of December, it arrived at my house on the 31st, which was perfect timing, and I was able to start on the 1st. And then you do get these little stamps. I have not used them because I don't want to have to stamp my booklet every day, but they're little. There's 5 years worth. Wow, that's a lot of years. I didn't realize it went that far in advance. I guess this is really made to be undated, and you could skip years if you wanted to. So this was relevant to me. I purchased it in 2024 or the very end. I'm using it this year, and that will give me, I guess it makes sense because it'll give me enough years for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 through 2029. This little acrylic holder allows these to stick on. I don't think I've even opened these, but let's see here. They're just stuck on with the actual plastic. It's not adhesive as such, but it has that. It's able to hold. So it'll stick on the end there, and then I do have this stamp pad, but I'm reluctant to even because I'm about waterproof everything, this was waterproof, but I noticed it, I mean, it won't matter for 2024. It seems to mark up my, my actual stamp. So let's see here. I'm going to use an old insert. So it's back in the pack because it actually has the start of, that was the start of October that I hadn't used. And so I put it back in the pack because I redated the 2026 inserts so that I could start using them early this year. So let me start with a Mildliner actually. I've got this Mildliner that I have been preferring to use for my stamps, although I've noticed that my current paper does not really seem to like that either. And everyone has a different technique. I think the trick is you want to be relatively quick. And the idea is to stamp the side of your entry or this, and that's not too bad. I mean, I'm being very rough. Here we go. That's on Cosmo Airlight, which is what the new, and there's no ghosting on this, which is nice. I don't particularly want to put this into my 5 year because that is for 5 years worth of looking at it. This is the ink pad and the imprint's nice. Wow, that didn't ghost. Okay, so Cosmo is pretty good. That went straight through the Tomoe River, I can tell you that. And I think sometimes they say to stamp it, you know, once before you want to do the real one, because the second print is better. So anyway, yeah, just a little bit of ghosting, but that's very impressive. So it's nice of them to include that. I think they were for sale separately as well. But like I said, I think the idea is to have them in these, in the start here, or you could put them, I was thinking about putting it on the side if I wanted to, but more likely I'll put a little key in the front because I'll know that the first entry on every day is going to be for 2025 in my case. Now, I think the format may change. So you know, this planner that I have has the typical kind of thicker end papers. There's a face page that just says 5 year diary. I put a quote in, and this is actually it's Diatramentus fuchsia, and it's a permanent ink, and they tend to be a little trickier on Tomoe River, but you can see that handled it really well. There's no bleeding, and that's a normal amount of ghosting. And this was in a TWSBI stub nib. So there's a number of blank pages at the start. I had planned to use that for 5 years worth of New Year's days. That's a special day for our family. I was engaged on New Year's Day, and we just have a lot of traditions, so it would be fun to look back on. And I think for the start of the year, it's kind of nice. It's probably easier to show the start of a blank month that I haven't reached yet. So at the start of the month, you get a blank undated day before you start the first of the month. And I've used them because there's one at the end of the month as well. I do little hands to start the month, and I just say what my kids' hands are occupied with. And then for the end of the month, I say little feet. And sometimes it's just what shoes they're wearing because it tells you a lot. Flip-flops in summer, you know, ballet shoes when we're taking ballet. You know, we'll be getting into rain boots. So that's the end of the month. You get that little feet that I use it for. People have lots of different cute ways of using it. And then, so we were at the start. So you jump straight into January, and it just starts off numbered, dated. Something I did want to mention was I like that it's the date written out in words, because I did notice Midori have a number of different 5 year, I think they have a 3 year and a 10 year diary, but they write, for this they would write 11/20, even though, so I was born and raised in Australia, so I grew up having written that 20/11, but then coming to America, I've gotten used to 11/20, but I don't know who's going to be reading this in the future, where they'll be. My family's all over the place. So I like that it's very clear, because there are days that can be ambiguous. So I remember when I was deciding when to get married, I really wanted the 3rd of March that year, because it would be 3/3, you know, so it's the same in any way that you write it. And I remember not being allowed into Disneyland on my birthday, when I showed my driver's license from Australia visiting, because you used to be able to get in for free on your birthday. And they said, oh, well, you know, they thought the dates were reversed. They said, that's not today's date. What are you, what are you talking about? So I like that it's very clear. I do like that it's just one page, and I think that's what's made it really easy. I'm not up to date. This is very real. October 11 is where I'm up to, but I'm not overwhelmed by needing to fill the end of the month. That will be really quick for me. So these are so cute. You know, I dedicated a lot of the last month to the younger one, because, you know, when you have babies that are just learning to talk, they don't get as much airtime. I do put a lot in at the start. I had silent baby theater, I called it, and I would just describe what she was doing. But I find that, you know, in my journaling, I'm often talking about what they say. And so this way I can focus on that here, and it's a very different entry to the recap of the day. Otherwise, I feel like I'm writing the same thing twice, and then someone might be reading it twice. So yeah, I just find it easy to jump back into this. Having this on my table with the same pen, the same ink, that makes it really simple for me. I don't have to think about it. I know that it probably looks boring, but next year, obviously, I'll change the ink, I think. And, you know, it'll still be easy because it'll probably be the same ink. I do think that having Cosmo paper could be great for being able to have a 5-year history that's not blemished by problems with paper or bleed through. And I also think that it's not a book that you carry around everywhere, right? So that's where you need to have quick drying ink as a priority, whereas you could leave this open. I only have the problem with the ink dry time, and I notice it because I have a thick line that I'm waiting to dry, but you can see actually that this paper also handles that very well. So, you know, people talking about needing to use less than medium-sized fountain pen nibs is not the experience I've had with my sterling ink paper this year, but I know that it's obviously user dependent with different batches, and so I think, you know, just when I'm backfilling, that's when I find that I need the page to dry quickly so I can move on to the next page. But this is very real. The rest of it is filled out. It's a really smart book, and I've really enjoyed what I've done. The back pages there's a lot that I was planning to use for milestones every year: Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, birthdays, and then you'd have to allow 5 pages for each. I have not been able to keep up on that side, so I really am more writing about that in my normal journal. But that's basically the layout. It goes through December 30, and then you get the blank pages, and that's the end. I went through the similarities with the complete planner. At the moment, I believe it's offered in B6 and A5, and I think that's what they'll be offering again this year in the hardcover. But at the time of filming this, I think more details will trickle out. We haven't got photos or layouts or anything like that. I suspect maybe there'll be less pages with the Cosmo paper, or maybe it'll just be chunkier. And this was a slightly different size, just because I believe the paper the paper is the same size inside. Here, the paper is the same, but the cover adds a little bit of a footprint. So when they're lined up, they are not quite the same size, even though these are both B6. So the oat color looks absolutely gorgeous, but I would get that dirty in a hot minute. So I would need to have the clear cover on it. And as I actually do use this clear cover on, I took it off for the glare, but I normally use this on top of my 5-year just because I need to keep it for 5 years. And I have this little washi that I can't commit to anything that I stick in the front cover, which looks nice, and I just love that. I can't believe Catherine draws these. The owner of Sterling Ink, you know, paints these and puts them together herself. It's absolutely stunning. And then this is my version of a pocket, because you have a cover that has this little fold. You can tuck things inside. And so this was a cloth and paper order that I keep a little $2 bill that someone gave me, unusual, and it's lucky apparently. I have a little note from my daughter's dance teacher that she got from her first concert. Hopefully having something so beautiful like this complete planner in the 5-year form might make it more enticing also to write in and lure you into putting in your entry every night. That I think is one of the biggest issues in keeping up. But if it's appealing, sometimes you just want to write in it. And I also think it will be so nice to spread the love. I'm glad that, you know, hopefully I'm not sad that I'll be having one hard cover and then I'll have this soft cover still. I love the floppy planners. I love the, you know, the Tomoe River paper. So I'm happy about being able to keep this in my lineup for next year. But hopefully the people who, you know, it'll be a group of people who maybe missed out on the complete or can't use it because of the layout can then go into the 5-year. That would be great for the community. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.